I can go to the pub and get smashed with loads of strangers, but I can't go to my mum's house and give her a hug. Well, what's that all about? We increased the fee of a client of ours by 150%, and I had that conversation with them and said, look, we can't sustain it at what you're currently paying us. And they were like, yeah, we completely understand, we still want to work with you, that's fine, we'll pay the extra money.
Welcome to episode 95 of the Optimize Me Now podcast. I'm your host, Jamie Keeling, business and personal performance strategist and the founder of the Bulletproof app, designed from the ground up to give you all the tools and support you need to accelerate your business performance. Download it now for free and get stuck straight into the awesome content and business tools. And I recently released my free training course on how to start a business. It's 3 modules with 16 videos and 11 badass templates to help you get your business started right through from planning to setup to launch. So go and check that out. It's available on both Apple and Android devices. The link is in the show notes. But if you're feeling lazy, you can just go on the App Store or the Google Play Store, type in Bulletproof, and you're looking for the golden bee in the bullet hole. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast now if you haven't already, and if you're feeling particularly generous, please do leave us a review and share this episode with your friends, family, and anyone else who you think it might help. Now we have our very first sponsor of the Optimize Me Now podcast. I'm pleased to introduce I Am Truth. They are one of the only CBD and hemp-based sports recovery companies in the UK. Their passion is to deliver premium products and a premium service to athletes and fitness enthusiasts alike. You can use discount code KEELING10 to get 10% off everything you order for life. I Am Truth. Their motto is train, recover, repeat. So if you're into sports or looking for something to help you with recovery, then go and check out their products. The link to the website is in the show notes. Today we have Mr. Simon Walter on the show. It's his second time on the show, and I'm really pleased to welcome him back. He's a multi-award-winning entrepreneur, and he's on a mission to help businesses take a common sense approach to health and safety. He is the co-founder of Rhino Safety and Raw Business Coaching. In Simon's words, it's time to make a change, remove the red tape, and put common sense at the forefront of health and safety again. Simon is also the Community Liaison Officer for the Nantwich Food and Drink Festival and a peer review panel member for ISOH, Institution of Occupational Safety and Health. He is an expert in every way, a thoroughly decent human being, and has a pretty phenomenal beard. Simon, welcome back to the show, sir.
Thanks, Jamie. It's a pleasure to be here again. I've had a bit of a trim on the beard, and it is going a bit more grey than when we last spoke on your podcast, although a lot has changed since then. What year was that, like 12 months ago?
Oh, crikey, mate, now you're asking.
Longer, because since then we've doubled the size of our offices. We've got 8 staff, soon to be 9, and I think at the time we probably had 4 or 5.
4 or 5, I think, yeah.
And interestingly, the one thing that has changed between then and now is working with you.
Well, there you go.
So I don't know the exact time scales, but we worked with you for a good 12 months, didn't we? And really focused on growing and the KPI element of it and adding that structure into our business. And then that's helped go from where we were to where we are now. So thanks for that.
It was a pleasure working with you, and recently had your best month in sales yet.
Yeah, so obviously it's been a really tough time for business, everyone in general, with the global pandemic, and we've seen clients disappear. We were doing a lot of work with a client in Gatwick, who were working for Virgin Atlantic, and when lockdown happened, Virgin Atlantic told them to put their staff on furlough for 2 months, and then rung them back a week later to say, no, we're pulling the contract, cancelled it, and a couple of hundred staff, that was it, just gone. Wow. Overnight. So we're very fortunate to be in a industry in time putting a lot of focus onto compliance and health and safety. But I like to come at it from us helping businesses. We're helping people, helping business owners reopen. And there's a lot of variance between how people are dealing with the pandemic. We've got clients that have been in lockdown for 6 months, that locked down before the government told us to lock down, that are still in lockdown now, that are still not going to go out, right the way through to businesses that kept going throughout the pandemic. And I think, people need to bear that in mind, that this is affecting people differently. You've seen the pictures of London at the weekend when they reopened the pubs, and the streets were just packed full of people drinking, and then there's people on social media that are still not going to go out. So I think you need to bear that in mind. But we're trying to help people, trying to help business owners open. Unfortunately, the government guidance on the whole COVID secure thing is very grey. Surprise, surprise. And it is taking a little bit of interpretation around those guidelines. So that's been very tricky for business owners to really ascertain what they can and cannot do. We've been working with pubs, restaurants, community centres and things like that, trying to get them back open. And even, things that you would have thought would be very simple, like, can they show football or not? Well, the guidance actually says you cannot show live broadcasts that would encourage chanting or cheering.
Wow.
So does that mean we can put football on or not? Can we put football on a game that we know no one's going to score, or no one likes the two teams that are playing because then no one's going to cheer? Or can we show football with no sound on and with signs up that say no cheering? Is anyone going to listen to that? So, that's just an example of why it's very difficult and for business owners to go, well, what should I be doing? How do I interpret these without falling foul of the legislation and stuff? And it is difficult, but being in this industry for a long time, dealing with government red tape and government regulations, it's easier for us to interpret what they can and cannot do. And that's where we're really enjoying coming in and helping people start to set up their businesses again, start to get running again, getting back up off the ground. So that's what's providing us with a lot of enjoyment and fulfillment at the moment, is getting these people back going again. Construction industry seems to be massive at the moment. They seem to be really moving forwards. We had some sites in Manchester that didn't stop over the pandemic, that put in place suitable rules and procedures so that they could keep working. They had reduced numbers of staff on site, but they kept going. And we've had a load of new projects start as well very recently. So that's looking very positive as well. So that's been nice to see, because usually construction is the last one to get back off the ground. But this time around, it seems like gyms and beauticians are the last ones to get off the ground.
Yeah, I saw something on Facebook earlier. Apparently you can have your vagina waxed, but not your eyebrows. What's that all about?
God. Yes,
from a health and safety person's perspective, what the fuck is going on there, Simon?
I'm assuming it's just because they're classing close contact, aren't they, as being working in the facial area. So that must be what it's all about. But I've not come across that yet.
Because a vagina doesn't breathe.
Apparently so. Apparently so, yeah. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. Whether the government have handled this correctly or not, who knows, eh?
Well, what do you think? I mean, putting all the legislation and the facts and figures to one side, what's been your overriding impression, just on a purely opinion basis?
Well, the frustration is that the guidance is very grey. You can go out, but you can't go now. I can go to the pub and get smashed with loads of strangers, but I can't go to my mum's house and give her a hug. Well, what's that all about? Do you know what I mean? I think there's, I'm all for complying with what the government say, but I always question why. And a lot of it, some of it's made sense. Some of it's been a bit grey, and I would have just preferred for them to be very black and white. Like Wales have said, right, you can't leave your house unless, you can only leave, 5-mile radius from your house, and that's it. Very black and white. Whereas the UK government have gone, yeah, you can go to the beach. And then the beaches get packed, and they're like, well, you said we could go to the beach. The sun's out, so everyone's gone to the beach. So it's just very difficult. It's very difficult. And it just would have helped for them to be more black and white. But with them being very grey, it means the police have struggled to enforce anything because it's so grey. And it just means that certain people are interpreting the guidance differently, which then leads to all this, people whinging about other people and stuff like that. So it could have just been, it would have been better if it was more black and white. And then the whole Dominic Cummings thing and him driving to a castle and all that bullshit was the final straw for me. I was like, I don't believe anything. If they're going to stand by him now, then, I mean, what do you think about that?
Well, I think it shows a really poor and inadequate leadership. If you're going to make the same, this translates into business as well. If you're going to make rules in business or in politics, or if you're leading a group of people, whatever capacity that might be in, you've got to lead by example. I think that's really, really important. And when it came down, a great example for me was when we were really cracking down on health and safety on our sites when I was running my construction business. I was very hot on it, and other directors were more long in the tooth and didn't value it quite so much. But I saw the way that things were progressively becoming on site, and particularly in construction, and it was more and more focused around health and safety. And these were things that I felt we had to do legislatively and from a moral standpoint as well. But I wouldn't go on site and not wear my hard hat or not wear my high vis or my toe tackers and still be then shouting and kind of expecting all the guys to be doing all that stuff. It's like, look, I'm here suited and booted. I expect you to be suited and booted too, because I'm leading by example. And I think the same thing applies to the whole Dominic Cummings thing. This was your rule, son.
And that's a frustrating thing. And then for Boris to stand by him, I'm not massive on politics anyway. I don't, I've only recently started voting. I don't really trust them. I'm not, Cate is more into like the whole political element of things. I'm just looking at it purely from a black and white, like you said, the crossover into leadership and business. What I would have done in that situation. There is no way you would be able to stand by him, and for them to come out with these lies to say, oh, he was testing his eyesight. Imagine if you had done that, or I had done that, been pulled over by the police. Oh yeah, my eyes are feeling a bit funny, so I'm going to put my kids in the car and drive 30 miles to a castle. But how does a castle test your eyesight anyway? What was he going to do? Stand on the battlements and look at a tree or something? I don't understand. And it's just taking everyone as for being stupid. And then you've got other people, you've got other MPs standing up for it and going, yeah, he totally did that. That was fine. And
yeah, probably because they were fucking flouting the rules themselves.
Well, yeah. How many? Was it the Scottish health minister? Didn't she have to resign because she breached the rules? And it's just really frustrating for just general members of the public to go, well, what should we do? You're telling us one thing, you're doing a different thing. So what should we do? Whether it's been purposefully grey, so that if stuff does go wrong, it can't really be pushed back on the government. They can just wiggle out of it, like this whole Dominic Cummings thing. They can just go, well, the guidance said this, and you didn't really follow it like we wanted you to. Whether that's the reason why, who knows?
Yeah, I mean, the thing with politics is I do vote because I think, if you don't vote, then you can't really complain about whatever happens, can you? But at the same time, the way I see it is, I'm not as old as some, but I've lived through a fair few different governments now, both Tory and Labour, and a little bit of Lib Dem as well in the middle there. And I think ultimately, although some surface level things do change and the landscape does shift, I think ultimately government to government, things don't really change that much. And so it makes me wonder, well, is it really these elected officials who are in charge, or is it the civil servants who sit behind it, who never change seats, who are actually running the show? Or is it the big banks, the Central Bank of England, or the big corporations that have all their financial vested interests in the economy? You've got to really wonder who's pulling the purse strings. But when things seem to change so little between parties that seem actually so vastly different in their policies and manifestos.
Yeah, true. No, I completely agree. But like I said, I don't really get into politics that much, so let's not go too deep into it now.
Well, this is what I'm saying, though. I think it's just almost a waste of time. I do vote, but at the same time, I'm not going to spend a lot of time worrying about who's in government, because ultimately nothing changes but the shoes.
Yeah, true. And then you get people voting just because their dad voted that way, and their granddad voted that way, and they're never going to not vote that way, regardless of what happens. That's why people are sticking up for Dominic Cummings, because he's on the same side that they're going to vote for, so they're going to have to stick up for him regardless.
Yeah, it's like an old boys club, isn't it? I think coming back to the leadership point, though, as well, you look at for years and years and years, it feels like we've had a real lack of leadership in our government here in the UK. Yeah,
no, totally agree. And I just don't think it's been handled very well here. I think, they've thrown, I know a lot of people that work in the NHS and work at hospitals and stuff. And I don't know, I just think, and work in the police, and you just think, wow, what a job. I couldn't do that. I couldn't be like working in that kind of environment and know that you're not really being looked after. But, I don't suppose you do that the money, you do it more for helping people. But yeah, the amount of stress that they must be under still, and then they know that they can now go to a restaurant Monday to Wednesday and get a £10 off a meal.
Makes it all worth it.
Kicking the nuts, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? But then they've started to charge them again for parking. So you got these nurses and doctors working their asses off, and now got to pay to park at there. That probably costs them a tenner anyway.
Well, that's a fucking farce anyway, isn't it? Having to pay to park at an NHS hospital. What a joke, man.
And apparently that money doesn't go to the hospital anyway. It goes to whoever's running the car park, which, I don't know, it's just not right, is it? Do you know what I mean? But how would you change it all? Who knows?
Well, again, I think it comes down to this issue around leadership. You mentioned about the NHS workers not being looked after. We've got a close family friend of ours who is a nurse in a hospital in North Wales, and they didn't have enough PPE, and so she was working in the COVID ward without PPE, and she ended up contracting it, and she contracted it very badly. She's in a wheelchair right now. We were concerned that she wasn't going to pull through. She was on a ventilator in ICU for weeks, and her husband was...
That's my frustration, because if I had a client who wasn't providing PPE and someone got hurt, the HSE would go in, would fine them, potentially shut them down.
Yeah.
But for our NHS workers that are saving lives, it's okay. They're getting provided face shields made by like secondary schools, which is great, but it doesn't meet the standards, doesn't meet the regulations, and it shouldn't have to be like that.
Yeah.
Should it?
And I don't think it's like that. I don't think it's like that because it had to be either. I think, again, it comes down to this poor leadership and just people not making the calls that needed to be made in good enough time in terms of ordering this stuff that was needed to keep everybody safe. I know for a fact that there was an order of extra ventilators, which was put into a company. I forget, what was the name of I can't remember the name of the company. It was a big company, and it was weeks and weeks and weeks into the pandemic. We were already locked down, and they still hadn't placed the order. And then there was this to and fro around. Oh, well, yeah, but we need to get you a purchase order for this. And the company in the end was just like, look, fuck your purchase order. We're just going to start making this because they're needed. Yeah. And you sort out whatever paperwork you need to sort out your end, but we're going to crack on because we're not getting involved in this bureaucratic bullshit. When something needs to be done, you just got to take a step and make it happen.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And it's just not right that should be one rule for businesses trying to run and provide the right PPE to their staff, and then, but the government can get away with not providing PPE because no one's going to take the cop for that, is it? But in a corporation, in a business, if you didn't provide PPE to your site guys, and one of them got hurt, it's your head on the line.
The MD, yep.
But what's going to happen now? Who's going to get the cop for this? No one. All the nurses and health workers that have died because of lack of PPE. What's going to happen? I think it's very frustrating.
It is. And what do you think is going to be the fallout from? I mean, one thing I would say is the economic support packages released by Rishi Sunak and the government in terms of the furloughing and support for self-employed, although it was very late in the day by the time they actually got any money. Bounce back loans, grants, and all of this funding and support that was made available was great in so many ways. What do you think is going to be the economic fallout of that in the months and years to come?
I don't know, because you read the news and it's all doom and gloom and taxes are going to go up and things like that. Obviously they're going to have to try and recoup the money from somewhere. Where's that going to come from? Who knows? So it'll be interesting to see further down the line. But in any economic environment, there's going to be winners and there's going to be losers. A lot of businesses set up during tough times. I think Microsoft and Apple both set up during really difficult times, and they boomed. So I don't want to be very negative because I don't think that's a good mindset to be in. I'd like to look at the positive element of it, and I think there's a way of, if taxes are going up, well, let's try and make more money. Let's try and help more people, and good things are going to come off the back of doing good things, if that makes sense. So regardless of what the future holds, who knows? Maybe there's going to be another pandemic. Maybe there's not. No one knows what's going to happen. If you roll back 12 months, no one would have guessed that this was going to happen, other than Bill Gates. But do you know what I mean? You, as a business leader, you do not know what's around the corner. You don't know what's around the corner for you and your staff. You don't know what's around the corner, locally. Look at Leicester now, gone back into lockdown. So look at all them businesses that set back up again, going, yeah, we're out of lockdown, and now they're back in again. So as a business leader, you need to be able to adapt and evolve to whatever's going to happen. We're fortunate that we've been okay, and we've had our best month ever in June. But then I've seen other businesses, other gyms, for example. If you take gyms, for example, the owners of the gyms have now done online stuff. So they've gone, right, okay, new members can now join us. We'll do online. We'll do programming face-to-face over Zoom. We'll do nutritional programming. And then you can get in a Zoom workout class every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And that is perfect way of pivoting and being able to keep your business ticking over. And, maybe they're not running at 100% as to what they were before. Maybe they're doing even better now. And I think that's the key for quality business person, is to be able to look at those opportunities. And that's what it is. It's looking at those opportunities and going, right, I cannot let people into my gym, but what can I do now to make money? Right, I'm going to sell ebook. I'm going to generate an ebook. I'm going to do online programming. I'm going to do nutrition because I'm trained in that. And I think that's been really interesting to see, the people that have been able to have that mindset, rather than, people that have locked the door, gone home, gone into lockdown. That's it. Worries me. My life's over. I've got no business now. And I've seen both examples of that. And, whatever the future is going to hold, it's certainly going to work out better for the people who've got that mindset, that are looking for different opportunities all the time. Maybe the UK government will get rid of all health and safety legislation, and then I've got no business there. But do you know what I mean? So then it's like, well, okay, we can't foresee that happening. However, if it does, I know that me and Cate have got a really good mindset to be able to go, okay, well, we can't do this anymore, but what about this? What about that? And what about the other? There's always opportunities there for people, even if you're just thinking about starting up a business now, maybe you've been made redundant, and look at the was it 10,000 jobs that have been announced under threat at the moment from the likes of Boots and Burger King and places like that. Well, if you're in a good mindset, there's opportunities there now to start your own business. We started our own business. We started this business with no money. We had nothing. And look where we are now. So there's certainly opportunities now in this tough environment that we're going to see people grow off the back of it.
And we're going to see a lot of people die as well. A lot of businesses die.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be some natural, people, we saw it right at the start of lockdown. There was a flour company in the village where we live, and they were looking to retire anyway. Lockdown happened. Actually, it was Brexit. When they announced that Brexit was happening, they were going to struggle getting their flours in from Belgium, and just went, right, we're shutting up shop, we're retiring, we're gone. So they've now disappeared. But that creates opportunity for someone else to go, actually, okay, well, I fancied, I've always wanted to run a flour shop. So they can't get theirs from Belgium. Well, let's look at other wholesalers from somewhere else. Where else can I get flours from? And do it differently. Okay, well, let's not run it as a shop. Let's do it as an online order business or whatever it may be. And I think there's always opportunities there for people with that kind of mindset going, okay, well, what do people need right now?
It's a problem solution mindset, isn't it? And it's something that every successful business owner, entrepreneur needs to have. But it's not something that, and not to say that not all people can't solve problems, but I do think it takes a certain type of person to be a business owner, doesn't it? It's definitely not for everybody. So what do you feel? You've got two businesses, you've been in business a while now and done very well for yourself. What do you think are the key attributes that a business owner, if we're talking to people out there who have maybe lost their job or facing redundancy in the next few months, what would you say to them? What do they need to be developing in terms of skill set and mindset and attributes in order to really make a good go of it?
Well, I would say it's the best thing that I've ever done. However, saying that, I've always wanted to do it. My dad used to run a business. He used to run a large printing company in Warrington. I remember at secondary school, they just released a new NVQ in business, and I went for that, and then I did a business management degree. So it was always it was always going to end up with me running my own business. Now it is tough, it's not easy, and that's why you don't get as many people doing it. However, you do need, going back to the whole leadership thing, you need to be able to stand by your employees. You need to be able to back them. That's a really key thing. If you want to grow and have employees, you do need to stand by them. You need to back them up. That's critical. The other thing in, more of a general thought on being a business owner, I had gone around the different elements of business, and I was kind of at that point where I'd done everything. So I'd done a business management degree. I had done a lot of customer service. So I was very attuned to getting back to clients like straight away. With technology now, there should be no reason why a client is waiting, more than 24 hours for a response to an email, response to a, answer phone message. So I was taught very well for customer service. The business I used to work for, who is now a client of mine and has been a mentor for a long time. That's where the customer service came from, and we had specific KPIs we had to meet, and I was the team leader there, and if we didn't meet those KPIs, I had to then report to the management team as to why, and reports were run on that every week. So that ingrained in me the customer service element of it. other businesses that I've been in, I did a lot of sales. So that gave me confidence to know I could sell. Because I think you're always going to doubt yourself. And it wasn't until I'd done all these separate elements, I kind of then thought, well, I've now got the right skill set to then now become, a business owner. I'd managed a team of, I think it was up to 30 people. I'd done appraisals with them. So that kind of covered the soft skills side of things. But you've also got to bear in mind that Rhino Safety was set up with my wife as well. And she then adds her skill sets to it. So I didn't need to be fully rounded. She was able to come in from the soft skills side of things. So I'm pretty blunt and to the point and business focused and focused on the money, focused on the sales, focused on the turnover. Not that hot on soft skills, people skills. I can do a little bit of accounts and stuff in terms of looking at balance sheets and whatnot, but I don't touch any of the accounts here because, again, it's not my strong point. So I would say to someone, if they're interested in running a business, have belief in yourself, but identify the areas that you're weak in and maybe look at, employing someone that will strengthen those areas or go into a partnership with someone. Many great businesses were built on partnerships, Apple and Microsoft, and I think Google as well, they're all built on partnerships. So, if you know that you're struggling or you are weak in certain areas, then look at either improving them through courses or look at, doing partnerships with someone to help that grow. And build it from there.
And let's talk about, because you had pretty phenomenal growth, didn't you? When you first started the business, you went from nothing straight up to six figures within 12 months. Is that right?
Yeah. So, we started, it was me and Cate. We were sat around our dining room table. If you listen to Kate's podcast she did with you, that gives you a bit more of the backstory, because it came out of a bit of a fallout from her. We used to work for her mum and dad at a different business that did a similar thing. And we had a bit of a fallout with them. And it was pretty interesting, let's say. So if you want the backstory on that, listen to Jamie's podcast with Cate, which I'm sure we'll post the link below.
I'm just trying to find the episode number now. Yeah, but it was a great podcast, and she was extremely open and honest in that about a lot of the feelings that were being felt by both sides, and very balanced perspective from both sides as well, I felt. And anybody who's thinking about or is currently in a family business, it's a great insight to probably the more difficult side of family business.
Yeah, it was a really tough time. So we sat around our dining room table. I'd done a business plan, so we knew we had to make I think the target was $4,000 a month to cover our mortgage and our bills. We had two young kids. So the stress levels were, let's say, as high as they've ever been at that moment in time. We had administrators chasing us for stuff that had happened in the old business that was nothing to do with any decisions from us. We were talking to Kate's mum and dad. It was very, very difficult. So it certainly wasn't an ideal situation. However, because it was so difficult, the full focus for us was on the business. So everything was into right, there is no going back. We cannot go back. There is no way forwards. There's the old tales of the Greek. I think it was in the Greek wars where they would sail the army over to an island to invade it, and then they'd burn the boats on the shore. So there was no going back. They either took the island and won, or they died trying. And that was the mentality that we were coming at. we weren't going to go back. We couldn't go back to work for them again. However, we think that they were trying to make us do that. When Cate was like, right, well, I'm going to go and work at the corner shop if this doesn't work out. So, and I just like, well, I've got my qualifications, so I'll just go and get another job. But there was no way out. It was always, we had to go forwards from this. So
how did you feel in that moment? You sat around that kitchen table, and obviously you've got these things that you can both fall back on, and there's work out there to be had. What were the feelings that were going through both of your heads at the time?
It was just a very, very, very difficult time, emotionally, between us and Cate's parents. But all that energy and focus and that negativity, we were able to feed that off each other and focus that on growing the business, rather than, and I spoke a little bit before about it, about you can be very that hate and that rage can like build up inside you, and that can be focused negatively. Whereas that kind of like we kind of let that go. And then that focuses on, right, we're going to grow the business and we're going to show people that we can do this. And we're going to build something. We're going to build a business up. I never wanted it to be just me and Cate. We wanted to grow a company with employees. So that was our focus, and we wanted to show people that we could do that. So
were you scared?
Yeah, totally. However, that's because me and Cate are so different. We kind of back each other slightly differently. So I'm more confident than she is. So I was like, yeah, we can do this, not a problem. And she was a bit more like, don't know. So all our decisions kind of fall in the middle of that, which kind of works out very well. So there's no extremes. So I was like, right, well, I hate them. We're going to take all their business off them. We're going to block all their clients, rah, rah, rah. And then Cate was like, Cate then refocused our efforts just on us. So we ignored everything that they did. I was consumed for a bit by like following them on Facebook and going, what are they doing now? Why are they doing that? And then one day I remember Cate just saying, look, just ignore him. Let's just focus on us, focus on our growth, and good things will happen. And that's exactly what it did. And, going back to working with a partner, it just helps you with your negative elements of things, refocus on where you want to be. And, we were then able to focus on us, focus on how we wanted to grow the business. Within a few months, we were profitable. And then someone said to us, there's the Chamber of Commerce are running some business awards for local companies. And we were like, well, we've only been going like 6 months. I don't think there's any point in going for it. And he was like, well, here's the application form. You might as well just fill it out and send it in. So Cate's very good with the way that, talking about strengths and weaknesses again, she's very good with writing letters, general writing in general, and I really struggle with that side of things. So she went away with these application forms, and we just filled them in and we sent them off and didn't think anything of it. We then got a call back to say that we've made it through to the finals, and we had to have an interview with the judges. So we needed to prepare. So we prepared all this stuff as well, and then with the judges were the sponsors of the awards, who were Cheshire East Council at the time. So we had a meeting with the judges at the council offices in Sandbach down the road from us. And then we won Startup of the Year in 2015. So 6 months after we set up, which kind of then, you've always got that little negative voice inside your head going, is all this going to crumble tomorrow? Is all this going to fall down? Is it just luck that you've got this far? So when we got that first award, we were like, actually, we must be onto something here, because other people also believe in us. And that helped massively. But, one of the reasons why we got that award was we obviously grown our business so that it was profitable in a short space of time. And we'd worked with a number of charities as well. So we'd always wanted to do charity work, but we didn't have any cash. We didn't have any money. So we couldn't just go, here's 10 grand to whoever. And then we bumped into this networking event. There was a company that basically put skill donors together with charities that need their service and support. So we said, we'll offer our services for free. We'll save a charity a couple of grand and we'll do all their health and safety, fire risk assessments for free. And because of that charitable work, that's one of the reasons why we won the award. So we were looking at the award and going, well, we're not going to win because we've only been going for 6 months. And we took that as a negative. Whereas the judges turned around and went, well, you've grown a business, it's profitable, and you've done loads of charitable work, and you're only 6 months old. That's why you get the award. So we took it as a negative and they took it as a positive. So it's pretty interesting how that mindset differs from what we were thinking into what they were thinking.
And anyone who wants to go and check out the episode with Cate, where she goes into a lot more detail around how all this came about and how they transitioned from the previous business with the parents into Rhino Safety, it's episode 70 of this podcast. It's a great episode and Cate's fantastic, so go and check that out. What were the main things that you did then, Simon? You left the Cate's family business, and then you made this decision that you had to go out on your own. You burned the boats and were like, look, it's all or nothing into this. How did you go from nothing to profitable within 6 months and then to six figures within the first 12?
Yeah, can I just say that Cate's episode's better than me because she's much better at speaking. It's probably about 8 hours long or something though, is it, James? She's got some of it out. And she's better looking than me as well. So I'll just get that in there now. So essentially what we did, we started to get involved with a lot of networking groups. Like I said, we did a lot of charitable work as well. And then your name starts getting out there to people, so people will go, well, I need a hand with that. Do you know anyone? And then our name would just get passed around. But you also need to be making sure that you're being effective with your time. So you get a lot of people going, I've just set up my business. And this week I've redesigned my business cards, worked on a brand new website that's cost me a few £1,000s. I've been out for a coffee 3 times. And I've ordered some new stationery, and that's what I've done this week, which is, yes, you could spend all your day every day doing that. You need to be looking at how you're going to generate your business, your sales and your business and things like that. So what we did, first thing I did, I got the local paper and the local Chamber of Commerce magazine that they release, and I emailed all the business owners' email addresses that I could find to say, we've just set up a new business. Can I buy you coffee and just have a chat to you? And most of them said yes. And that actually includes, I think it was 5 competitors locally. I emailed 6 of them and 5 of them came back and said, yeah, let's have a coffee. So coffee is the number one thing. So I went out and had a coffee with all these people, and it just starts getting your name out there. And, someone will turn around and go, actually, yeah, I need assistance with that, or my mate needs a hand with that. So I'd highly recommend, do not, think you're running a business because you're sat behind a computer. Get out there and meet people. Don't expect to sell to them. Just have a chat with them. Make sure you learn about what they do and make sure they know what you do. And then your name's going to get out there to all different people. We then did a load of charitable work as well, and then we won the award. So that also got our name out there. So also have a look at what awards are out there. What is your local Chamber of Commerce doing as well? We also established very early on a minimum fee. This is what I see a lot of people get into difficulty with, certainly in our industry, and maybe you see it in the consulting industry, where they're struggling
for
work. So they drop the fee down and they'll speak to someone and they'll go, something that would usually cost them £100 to facilitate, they're going, well, I need the work, so I'll drop my price to 50 quid. When actually it doesn't make you any money. You're not making any profit on that at all. You should rather turn the work down and making sure you're getting valuable clients and not working with, we've got a saying printed on our wall just over there with our values on. And the final value is we don't work with dicks, because we found out in business or lessons that you learn, we'd go and speak to someone and they would be like, oh, well, I'm struggling for money at the moment. Can I pay you in a month's time? And rather than a 12-month contract, can we do a 6-month contract? And can you do a discount on that? And then we'd agree to that. And then, in a month's time, the payment didn't come through, but then they've had all the documentation and then they can't get hold of him. So we had a massive cull of, well, not a massive cull. We had a cull of some of our clients that were messing us around, ones that weren't paying, ones that weren't profitable. And I think it's very important that you make sure you're spending your time effectively and you're not a busy fool, and you're working with clients that value your input and value your advice. And that's how your business is going to grow. I know health and safety consultants that have got 30 clients and that charge a day rate of like £150 a day. We charge £500 a day minimum. And they're running around doing all this work thinking that they're really busy. Well, they are really busy, but they're not making any money. And they don't understand why they're not making any money. And they worry that if they put the prices up, they're going to lose work. Well, yeah, you may lose some of those 30 clients. But if you're doing really good work for them, then you're not going to have a problem increasing their prices. And if they value what you do, we increased the fee of a client of ours by 150%, but they valued the work that we did. And I had that conversation with them and said, look, we're doing all this work for you. I was able to show them a list of everything that we'd done. We're spending all this time on you. We can't sustain it at what you're currently paying us. And they were like, yeah, we completely understand. We still want to work with you. That's fine. We'll pay the extra money. So you need to ensure that you value your time. And when you're starting out, it's difficult because you want anything and you just want the money coming in. But you need to make sure that it's the right client for you rather than just going for anything and everything.
Yeah, and there's a couple of things I took from that in particular. At the start there, you talk about, you emailed everybody in that little booklet and went out for coffee. Two things I think that's really important for business owners to take away from that, or budding business owners in particular, is that you can't just run a business from behind a laptop when it's something like this, especially in the service industry. Going out and actually meeting people, which I totally appreciate has been hampered somewhat with recent circumstances, but nonetheless, if you've got to get on a Zoom call even and have a coffee on a Zoom with somebody, then actually getting out there and getting face to face with people is super important, rather than just hiding behind putting content on Facebook or LinkedIn. And
yeah, totally. I mean, we also I also identified any businesses that would complement what we do. So we don't do health and safety training. We do a little bit now, but we never did at the start. We don't do any occupational health screening or anything like that. And they're kind of services that kind of bolt onto what we do. Asbestos surveys, Legionella surveys, we don't do them. So I would also specifically ring all the local businesses that do that and say, look, we're starting up. We're going to do, I'm going to do a safety visit on a care home. And off that safety visit, it may identify the need PAT testing. So I'd speak to electricians and go, look, if I give you PAT testing, would you keep lookout for people that need fire risk assessments because you're doing a fire alarm system for someone? So it's all about, people say your network's your net worth. It's all about who you know. And we've built up this network of people that we know, that we like, that work with us and that share the same values. So we've been able to grow from that, and it takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. But, literally my days were like, meeting all these people And, sometimes nothing came out of it. But then other times you would just get a phone call going, oh, yeah, I've heard you can help me out because so-and-so told me down the pub that, that you're great and you can deal with this. 90% of our business still comes from referrals today. And we've always worried that could dry up. So A, it means that our service levels are good. And B, it means we don't have to pay loads. We don't have a salesperson sat in there. We don't have to pay for a salesperson. We don't have to pay for Facebook ads and things like that, which is great. It's something that as we grow, we're trying to steer away from a little bit and try and drive the business through some more organic means. But yeah, you don't need to have a massive, all flashy, all singing, all dancing website, which a lot of people don't understand. Our first website cost us 250 quid, and we have literally just changed it now. So 5 years later, and that website's lasted us for that long, and has brought in loads of money, £100,000. And a lot of people don't understand that. They think you need to have all this flashy website and stuff before you can even get going. Just get out there, start meeting people, go through Google and start Googling businesses that, could complement what you're doing right now, and start meeting people and grab a coffee with them. That's my number one key to growing, is to get out there. And, network events are good. I would say you need to be a little bit careful about who's in the room. Certain ones can be good, certain ones can be not as good in terms of the quality.
A complete fucking waste of time is the word you're looking for.
Yeah, that's kind of not politically correct. Yeah, I think we've tried various different networking groups, and you'll know when you're in the right group, if that makes sense. Some of them can be very incestuous. We've tried all sorts, and you'll get into a group and you'll be like, yeah, this works. So I wouldn't tie yourself down to join becoming a member of one, certainly if they charge you a lot of money and it's an annual contract, until you are comfortable that the people in the room are your kind of people. Not necessarily that you're going to sell to directly, but that get what you do. And that you've got to bear in mind now that a lot of networking groups are run as a business. So they want you to join because it helps them. They may inflate the figures that they say that they pass around in business every month and stuff. So I just think you need to find the right group of people. It doesn't have to be a networking group. You're going to get more value with a one-to-one coffee with someone than you would. We've tried various networking groups. They didn't work for us. However, I know competitors locally that all their business or a lot of their business comes from networking groups, which is quite interesting to see how that has worked differently. They are exactly the same as us, very similar sized business, offer the same services as us, get business from networking groups that we tried that we didn't get business from, which is very interesting. I don't really know how that worked out, but
are they at a similar price point then in terms of what they're offering?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I think that's similar price point, similar business model, monthly retainers and stuff like that. So who knows? It may be something we try again, but as we stand at the moment, we're not struggling for business. So we are looking for growth moving forwards. We are looking for a business development person, salesperson, whatever you want to call them. And one of their tasks will be, that whole networking thing. We do a lot of work with the Chamber of Commerce at the moment. So our focus for networking at the moment is with their networking groups. And I think I would advise anyone starting out in business, anyone looking at joining a networking group, seriously consider your Chamber of Commerce first, because they're not running networking groups as a business. They're running it because they're trying to help their members out. And that's why you want to join a networking group, is because that group is trying to help people, rather than going, well, we want you as a member because we want to grow our group to 30 members or whatever it may be. So that would be a definite one to look at your Chamber of Commerce. That certainly if you're starting out as well, it's not a vast amount of money to join that for that first 12 months, and the support that you can get off the back of that that membership fee is massive. So that'll be my number one protocol, as long as having coffee with people. It's all about getting to know people in your local area, people in your industry, and seeing just who you can work with.
It's about having the conversations with the right people as well. And another strategy I like is, rather than, because I was the same as you, I went to a bunch of different networking events for a while and nothing really worked for me. It just wasn't the right caliber of people or caliber of businesses in the room. But something I did like was, the type of events that, say, accountants and solicitors and lawyers firms put on, that are more based around, they're like kind of mini seminars and more educational, where they're covering a particular topic and for business owners. So you've got a bunch of business owners in the room. This is obviously B2B. But then you can just kind of network and go around the room and get chatting to everybody in the break. But it's nice because people aren't, what I found at certain networking event providers was that everybody was there to pitch their shit to you. Everyone just wanted to sell their shit. That was the only reason they were there. Whereas when you go to an event like that, an accountant's firm or a lawyer's firm, they're there to learn. They're there to get information and further themselves and improve in whatever aspect of business it might be. And so it's, so long as you don't go trying to shove your services down people's throats. And if that's another big mistake that people make, right, it's all about the sale rather than just getting to know people and building the relationships.
Yeah, no, totally. It's just, that's why it's much easier over a coffee. You meet someone for a coffee, you just generally chatting to them about, you're right, okay, so tell me about your business. What do you do? And you're asking them, but then naturally they're going to ask you what you do, because you started it by asking them. So it's just building that up and just coming at it from an interested point of view, rather than, oh, nice to meet you, this is what I do, this is how much it is, do you want to buy it?
Yeah.
And that's key. And that's why they always say it's easy to make a sale when you're not under pressure and under stress to make the sale. You know what I mean? So if you've got a target and you're trying to hit that target, and people can see that pressure, and you just come across as too forceful. Whereas if you're very much more not expecting a sale, because 9 times out of 10 you probably won't get one, but it's that slowly approach where when they need something, they go, well, actually, Simon can deal with that. Because I had a coffee with him the other day and he came across really nice, and that's how I'd like to work with him, actually. And that's where you're going to get the deal a little bit further down the line.
Yeah. And it goes a long way to not shove it down people's throats. When you're all about the sale, like you say, people can feel that, they can sense it, and it's like, well, they just want my money. Whereas when you take the approach you're talking about, they can feel that actually, this person just wants to help, and I'm not ready right now, but they're not forcing me into anything that I'm not comfortable with. And when I am ready, I'll give them a shout. Yeah,
totally. And you can go down the route of having like a free service offering. So you could, one thing that we've utilized is we'll do a free safety review. So, I'd have a coffee with someone and say, oh, if you ever want us to check anything, we'll do a free review. So send your health and safety policy over. I'll have a look at it for you and let you know if you've got any problems. And they would, sometimes they'd do that, send it over. I'd have a quick look at it and go, oh, yeah, it all looks fine. But, you're referencing a regulation here that's changed and it's a little bit out of date. And do you want me to put it right for you? So, there's all that, and people do free white papers and things like that, which is always a good way of doing it, and then just building up your contacts from there. It's all about who and we've got into some massive companies. We work at Luton Airport with an airline that's called Wizz Air. They fly out of Luton, and we've been dealing with them now for 3 years, They're flying again now, even with the pandemic. They're one of the first airlines to start up again, and we're helping them get their air base up and running with all the staff back. So that's been really interesting. So, if someone said to me 5 years ago, you'll be working with an airline, you'll be working on an £80 million tower blocks in middle of Manchester, I would have just said no chance. But certainly set my sights too low on where they could be. We charge thousands of pounds a month now to some clients to look after all their health and safety. And if someone had said that to me 5 years ago, I'd say there's no way, because we had these limiting beliefs drilled into us to say, people aren't going to sign up for a 3-year contract. People aren't going to pay thousands of pounds to their health and safety. Don't be ridiculous. And these were kind of drilled into us. So it was very difficult to overcome that. And it's only been a slowly approach. We've been able to have the confidence to charge more. I would say I'm much more confident now. We signed up a deal 3 weeks ago, which is our biggest ever deal, which is worth thousands of pounds a month just to one client, which is 3 times bigger than our last biggest deal. So you need to have that belief that you can do it, and certainly don't undersell your services. That's what, going to our other business, the raw business coaching, we get so many people that want us to look over their proposals because they want to replicate what we do. And when we look at their proposals, there's undercharging so much, they just don't value their time, and you do need to value that time, because time is the one thing you can't get back. It's gonna, you're gonna die at the end of the day. So, you can't get that back. So you need to value your time, and you're gonna get the right high quality clients off the back of charging the right amount of money. Because instead of thousands of pounds a month, if I just charged a tenner a month, then I'm just going to get, really crap clients that just half-assing their health and safety. And then there's going to be an accident, so I'm going to have to go and deal with that. And then the HSE are going to get involved. I'm going to have to deal with that. It's just like, well, it's not worth my time to do that. So we charge more, so we get better clients. They're going to follow our advice. They're not going to have accidents. The HSE aren't going to get involved. So then my time is much freer and they're paying me more. So it's a win-win for me. They get really good service off us, so they win as well. So everyone's laughing.
How have you managed your relationship with Cate over the years, husband and wife in business? Having been in a family business myself, albeit not with my wife or spouse in that sense, I appreciate firsthand the challenges that come with that. What have you done between you to make that work?
So a bit of context around that. We met when we were at school. So I think I was 15 and I think I was 16 and she was 15 when we met. So obviously we've been together for a very, very long time. We also obviously worked together at our previous company for Cate's mum and dad. So I started there in 2009. So that was a good, 6 years working together before we started Rhino. So that obviously helps, and it's learning to understand how the other person thinks and how the other person works. Like I said before, we're very different, which works most of the time. However, I'm not very patient, where she's more cautious. So when I want to run, I've got a new project I want to do, and I want to do it straight away. I want to launch it next week, and she'll be like, more, well, let's analyze it a bit more. Have we thought of this? Have we thought of that? Which always then means that we take a little bit more time, but then it's done right. So that's helpful from a business point of view. A lot of people say, you need to separate business and family. So, you go home at 5 o'clock. That's it, family time. That's just not how we do it. We can't, just doesn't work that way for us. And it always merges into one, family and business. It always has done. If there's a sports day on, we'd go into work in the morning, go to the sports day, watch the kids do whatever they're doing, come back to work, go and pick the kids up from school, or Cate may go and pick the kids up from school, go home, make dinner. I'd come home, we'd have dinner, and then we may have a directors meeting in the evening. So it kind of like rolls into one. I think you need to do what works for you. In terms of that, maybe the whole 9 to 5 and you switch off at 5 o'clock does work, but that's definitely not how we've done it. However, the one thing that really helps us is we go away a lot. So probably I think we've averaged about 3 holidays a year since starting up Rhino, and that helps decompress and get away from work and away from always discussing and thinking about things. And we've always done that since we set up Rhino in year 1. We've been away a lot of time, and I think without that decompression time, we would struggle. I would struggle personally from a business point of view and the pressures of running a business, but then B, from a family perspective, I think we would both struggle without having that complete break from the business, because we're not doing that 5 o'clock, that's it, go home, don't talk about business thing. It's pretty much 24/7. To have that those holidays and those designated breaks away from work, that's what's helped us massively as well.
That 9 to 5 mentality seems like it's more of an employee thing than it is a business owner thing. And we were talking, I can't remember if it was before or after we started recording here, but we were talking about the whole mindset of a business owner. And I think for me, in my experience and from what I've seen with clients as well, it seems that people who build real businesses, and by real I mean, they get to a point where they exceed the VAT threshold and they start employing people, and shit gets serious.
Yeah,
it becomes a way of life. Business, being an entrepreneur, if you want to use that. I know Cate hates that word, but being a business owner, your business is such a huge part of who you are, and it doesn't really ever stop, does it? And you see that when you look at people like Richard Branson, Elon Musk, and all of these famous entrepreneurs. They are their business, and their business is them. And I think it's important to have that. And if you're going to be in business, and I think this is probably why people who, one person has got a business in a relationship and the other person doesn't have a business, is maybe a stay-at-home mum or dad or works in a job, it can be very hard to understand the motivations and the decisions that the business owner makes, because it's just it's removed from that employee mentality.
Totally, and I don't know whether that comes with a certain type of person or a mindset, or if that's learned or what. I mean, I've always been a hard worker. I've always, been able to work at night or work longer hours, and even when I was an employee. However, I've always been able to pick up things in everywhere I've worked and gone, actually, why are we doing it that way? If I was running this business, I'd do this and I'd do that. And I've always been able to see certain things, and I've been frustrated by the fact I've not been able to change them. And I think that's a personal thing to me. And I've just been able to work somewhere and go, well, why are we doing that way? Oh, just because we've always done it that way. So, and that's been a really frustrating thing. And I think, maybe it's something that's learned or maybe just born with it. I'm not sure, but there is that certain type of business owner mentality. I'm never not going to stop because I don't like getting bored. I'm not the brightest person. I'm not, I think I got 1A starred in sports and PE, an A in something, IT maybe, and then a few B's and a few C's. So it's not like I've got massive A stars and that's what set me up to be a business owner. You know, I've got staff that work for me that are better qualified. They've got better qualifications out of school. But ask them to run the business, no chance. They don't want that pressure. They don't want that responsibility. And they want to be able to turn the computer off at night and go home and chill out. You know, whereas I can't do that. And I just think that that's a personal thing, you know, and I think you're either an employee or you're a business owner.
Do you think business owners are employable?
I'm not. I could not work for someone now. And I think I've always known that I was going to run a business. And I got to the point before Cate's mum and dad took me on, I got to a stage where I couldn't progress any further in the role I was in. So then needed a step into something else that I could progress through management and become, you know, I don't think, yeah, I always wanted to run my own business. So I was always going to do that. But no, I think if you're a business owner, you would always regret having to go and work for someone else. You know, there's someone that I've worked with for a long time, that I've known for a long time as well. And he used to run a very successful car garage. I think it was a showroom as well. And it must have been about 10 years ago, I think the BMW pulled out on him and he lost everything. You know, he had to sell his house. He had to sell his I think his business must have been tied to his house. So when he lost the business, he lost his house. He had a very good level of income. So he had a very good way of living. And he went and worked for someone else as a general manager. And I remember seeing him and he was just, you know, he hated it. He still hates it, I think. But he was in the mindset that this can't be changed. You know, I'm too old now to get another job. And I'd hate to be in that position. I'd hate to have to work when I know that I don't want to be working and I don't like the person I'm working for. And I see him and I do feel sorry for him. And so are they employable? Yes. Would they enjoy it? Probably not. Would you get the maximum amount of work from them? Well, no, because they're not happy. You need to create a happy workforce. And I don't think if you've always run your own business or you've always wanted to, and then you have to be an employee again, I think you would really struggle. I certainly know that I would not be employable.
On the flip side, then, as a business owner, what would it be like having other business owner mentality type people as employees in the business for you? Would that be an asset or would that be a problem?
Well, I go back to how I was acting as an employee. So I was a very good employee, if I don't say so myself. Because I was punctual, I was always on time. I would not take a sick day. I don't think I ever took a sick day. I think maybe like one or two over like my whole ever life. I would always stay late. You know, if something, I remember once there was, I can't remember, like a virus had hit the computers or something, and we had to log on and we had to search through a massive Excel database of records to pull out X amount of numbers, and we stayed late into the night and had pizza and stuff just to do that. And I think, you know, if you are getting someone with the business owner mentality, you're going to get that person that is like, right, well, yeah, whatever needs to be done, and I'm going to stay late to do it. And I'm going to, cancel going out for a meal because we need to get this done. And I'm going to come in early and I'm going to work a weekend if you need me to work a weekend. And I think you get that. However, are they going to stay? I was never going to, the reason I left that job was because I was doing appraisals. I was looking after a team of 30. I was basically being a manager, and they acknowledged I was being a manager, but they wouldn't give me a manager role with the additional perks of like company car, healthcare, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, well, there's nothing here for me. I can't progress any further in my career now, so I'm going. And I think that's the problem you're going to get. You may get a very, very good employee, but they may come to a point where they can't go any further. Then, if you're running the business, unless you're looking to go and sell out, then they're probably going to get to a point where they're going to get frustrated and struggle.
And want more.
And maybe that is a long-term, maybe, for long-term planning, you could get that employee and mold them into what you want so that you could then sell out and leave it to them to run. Maybe that is an option, but then it's a very long-term thing, that, isn't it? So, yeah, I mean, maybe that is a good option. I mean, interestingly, we've always employed based on culture fit rather than qualifications. So our first 2 employees were admin staff, and they fitted into our flexible working, the way that we operated. And then a few years ago, we needed a health and safety consultant. So we put ads out and we whittled it down to 2 potential hires. One had all the qualifications and the experience, and the other one had no formal qualifications but had a passion to get into health and safety. Had paid for a couple of small courses herself, and we interviewed them both, and we took the one on with no qualifications because she fit our culture much better than the other one that had the qualifications. So we paid and trained her up, and we paid for all her qualifications. She's still there now and leading the team out there. So that's worked very well. And since then, that's what we've always done. We've always picked employees based on culture fit, and are they going to grow the team? And I was chatting to someone the other day, and they had taken on, I think it was a salesperson based on his sales figures and the amount of business that he could bring to the company. And it was just a complete contrast to how we do it. And it'll be interesting to see, how that works out and things. But we want to have, we set up Rhino to be happy. That was like the key driver. That was, we were discussing the pros and cons of leaving Cate's mum and dad. And the final thing it came down to is this going to make us happy? Because we were far too focused on, well, this is going to upset Cate's mum and dad. But it was damaging Cate and my relationship. It was damaging our family life. So the final thing we wrote down was happiness. And that was the basis of setting up Rhino. It was all based on happiness. So everything now, all the decisions we make is like, well, are they going to fit the culture of our team? Are they going to add or improve, or, this culture that we've got of, we have flexible working. We regularly go out when obviously we can, when there's no pandemic, and have a meal and things like that. Regularly bring cakes in, all these kind of things just add to this culture of happiness. And I think it's very important, if you are looking to set up a business and you are going to take staff on, don't be so focused on what qualifications they've got. How are they going to fit your team? How are they going to work with you? You don't want someone that thinks exactly like you. I couldn't work with someone like me, because I think I'm I I would think someone that acts like me is a bit of an idiot, if that makes sense. Another one of me just wouldn't work. And I think if you have a look at, Timpson's, the shoe repair key cut people. Yeah. I think John Timpson is the dad who originally founded it. He wrote a book, and they do the same thing. They hire on culture fit to the team rather than have they got any experience in cutting keys or doing shoes and things like that. And that's how they've grown their business, by doing that way. And that was a massive help for us to grow that way. And I think it all comes down to that one thing, all being happy.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And someone with all of the qualifications and all the experience but a bad attitude is a bad apple that's going to rot the bunch. You bring someone like that into the team and very quickly see everybody else going downhill. And I remember there was a guy that we were interviewing. Me and my dad, we sat him down in my previous business, and he was extremely experienced, very qualified joiner, very, very good at what he did. But his attitude absolutely stank. He was a really nasty piece of work. And although we knew that the skills he could bring to the team were perfect, the quality of work and his skill set was amazing. But the effect that kind of attitude and that kind of personality was going to have on site and with the rest of the team, and how it could bring everybody else down in terms of productivity and morale, and the problems that he would cause in the back office as well with just being a dick, to put it bluntly, just wasn't worth hiring the skills and experience. There's no way it could outweigh that for us.
Yeah, and he usually comes down to like a sales guy. You've got a sales guy who brings in the most money, but is a complete idiot. And the managers are like, well, we can't get rid of him because he brings so much money in that. But then they don't realise that he's bringing down the whole sales force. So you get rid of him and everyone steps up a level.
Yeah. And
then you replace him anyway. And then it brings the whole team up rather than him dragging everyone down, but you're relying on his sales figures. So it's a tough decision. And, being a business owner, those are the decisions you've got to make. But, you've got to hire the right person that's going to fit your team.
Totally agree. Let's switch gears quickly and talk about your other business, Raw Business Coaching. What is your feeling about, why did you start the business?
So we were involved in a mastermind, and it was down in Birmingham. We were driving back one day, and we thought, this is a brilliant concept. We love it. Again, going back to what I was saying to you before about me identifying areas that I would improve on. I was saying to Cate, this is a great idea, but I'd do it this slightly differently, and I'd do that differently, and we said it's a shame there's nothing local. We've got to drive all the way down to Birmingham or maybe Manchester or Liverpool or London for a mastermind. It's a shame there's nothing in Cheshire, nothing near Crewe. And we thought, well, why don't we set something up? This was 2 years ago, I think. So we were 3 years into Rhino, and we were like, well, we've won, by this point, we'd won multiple awards for Rhino Safety. We'd been through our journey, obviously, with Cate's parents. We'd hired staff, we'd fired staff. We'd become profitable. So we'd been through this business journey, and we thought, well, we can help other business owners. That's what we want to do. We want to help other business owners, because business is tough. It is difficult. I've got the benefit of being able to bounce things off Cate, float ideas past her. 9 times out of 10 she tells me the shit. But I've got that sounding board. But there's a lot of business owners that are on their own, and it's lonely. Employees don't understand sometimes the pressure that you're under. They don't understand the decisions you're going to make. So we said, well, why don't we set our own up? And what was happening with Rhino, well, we were getting our name out there, and a lot of people were ringing us up and going, well, I've got this issue with this member of staff. What do I do? Or I've just lost our biggest client. What do I do? So we were getting asked these business questions that were nothing to do with health and safety. And we thought, well, if we set up this mastermind group, we could invite these people that keep asking us these types of questions. So we identified 6 businesses that this was ideal for. So 6 companies that had asked us these questions over the past 12 months. And we knew we could help them. So we came up with a concept. We got a venue. We used Crew Hall. We've just moved to a conference centre about 6 months ago, but we used Crew Hall. So we wanted a neutral venue, but a very luxurious venue to take business owners out of their natural environment. And we wrote an email to these 6 people that we knew, telling them what we're doing, telling them how it would benefit from them. And every one of them rejected us. And we thought, oh, shit, have we, completely missed the target here? Have we, overpriced it? Is there no market for this at all? And we were going to pull the plug on it and just go, right, and there's no point. If they're not going to do it, then no one's going to do it. So why bother? And so we had a chat and we were like, okay, well, we've gone this far. We might as well just, let's put some out on Facebook and see what we get, see the result. So we posted some on Facebook and we needed 3 or 4 clients to be profitable, to make it worthwhile running the event. And we had 6 people sign up off the back of the Facebook, the posting on the Facebook. And it was 6 people, 6 businesses that were more well-established than the 6 that we initially targeted, that were bigger, that were turning over more, that had employees. And we just set our sights too low. Rather than setting our sights a little, higher, we should have just gone for everyone and gone, right, this is what it is. And we set our sights way too low. And we got these 6 clients on board and they're still clients now. I think most of them are still clients now because they understand the value in having other like-minded business owners in one room. And it isn't networking. And a lot of people get confused and go, well, yeah, I'm already a member of a networking group. It's not networking. You don't go into a networking group. You don't rock up and go, business is a bit shit at the moment. I've just had to sack someone and I've just lost my biggest client. You don't, do you? You walk into a networking group and go, yeah, business is amazing, doing really well, come and work with me.
Buy my shit.
Indeed. So, it's completely different. And until we joined our mastermind group down in Birmingham, we hadn't ever come across this before. And I think it's a fairly newish concept, certainly for us. But we can see the value in it. And
so that mastermind for you in Birmingham, was that the first time you'd worked with a coach or a coach in that kind of?
No. So it was just me and Cate working around our dining room table and we'd hit 6 figures. And I said to her, look, we're too busy. We either need to take staff on, which meant taking an office on because we're still working from home, or we cap the number of clients and we don't take on any more clients and we stay at a low 6-figure business and that's it. So I said, well, I want to take staff on. And she said she doesn't. So we just went round in circles. So we're going around in circles and we never got anywhere. And then we came across a business coach and that we got on really well with. And that was our first business coach. And he took us from working around the dining room table to an office with members of staff.
So 2 questions there. How did you select working with that person? And what was it that they brought to the table that enabled you to go from working around the kitchen table to taking staff on and having an office?
So why did we pick him? Because I think this is the most important thing. You get on with him. So Cate had already met him at a networking event and had a coffee with him and got on really well.
So networking does work.
I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm saying it's the right networking group works. So we met him. We'd both met him first and had a coffee. So we go back to coffee, and had a chat and liked him as a person. He shared the same values as what we do. So we knew someone we'd get along with. And then we looked at his background, and his background was very corporate. And that's where we wanted to now take us to the next level, was that more corporate rather than a lifestyle business. We wanted to grow it into a proper business. He had a very much corporate background. So that's why that selection was made. And how he took us to having an office, he gave us the confidence to go, you're making enough money now to do it. And that's all it was.
So it was understanding the numbers behind the business well enough that you were like, yeah, we can do this. We can afford this. It makes sense financially. Let's go.
Yeah. So it's understanding the numbers, and it was just breaking that circle between me going yes and Cate going no, and giving us the confidence to do it. Because, we'd never run a business before.
So it was Cate that needed to be won over then in that sense of whether you or not you should truly grow the business and take people on. What was it that shifted for her in that process?
I think it was confidence. She always lacks that confidence of going, yes, this is the right thing to do. So when he came in and went, all right, I've had a look at your figures, you can do it, not a problem. And we were like, right, full steam ahead. And then that helped massively. And, that business coach helped us employ our first members of staff, helped us grow to a point. But then I think naturally, as you evolve, you kind of outgrow, or you get to a point where you've got everything that you need from that coach, and then it comes to a natural end. Does that make sense? So that kind of happened. So we established, our office. We established 3 staff, something like that, and then it kind of petered out and kind of came to an end with that. But I think coaching is valuable, and we would never be where we are now without having a business coach. So that was our first business coach. Then we joined this mastermind group, and then off the back of that mastermind group, we then utilized yourself, and all for different elements of growing a business. So we obviously utilized you because of the whole KPI thing. Your background was obviously in construction, family business as well. So we had all these links that you see and go, well, yeah, he's been there and done it. We already met you. We met you at the mastermind group in Birmingham. You then came to speak at our Raw business mastermind anyway. And it was at that stage we were like, yeah, it's the right person to take us on to that next level. And I think that's key, is to find a coach that you like personally, but then have a little bit of a look, because you get a lot of franchises now that are business coaches.
For everybody on the audio, there was a little flick of the inverted commas with the fingers there when he said business coaches.
Yeah, it's just that you get, anyone could go and pay X amount of money to a franchise and become a business coach. So I think you do have to be very careful, and you need to have a look into their history. And this is my personal take on how to select a business coach. You need to get on with them, and you need to look at their history, because you get business coaches that were just salespeople, business development manager at wherever. They've retired or they've been laid off or whatever, and then they've gone and paid for a franchise, and now they're suddenly a business coach. Well, are they going to help you drive your business forwards? They may be able to help you from a sales element point of view, but their focus will be solely on that. They're not going to be able to help you maybe take staff on or grow. So you need to be very careful that your business coach aligns with where you need your help. We engaged you because we needed help with the systemization, the KPIs, looking at the figures, looking at the numbers and all that. Now, if we had taken on someone that their background was sales, then how is that going to help us with where we want to go? So I think you need to be very careful with the background of any coach and make sure that background aligns with where you want to be.
It's an interesting thing, isn't it? Because it's an extremely saturated market and one that we both work in. And there's a big difference between a coach, mentor, trainer, consultant. There's all these different words and all these different types of coaches, in inverted commas, that are kind of doing the rounds now. But the experience of actually having been in the saddle, been there and done it, is super important. And the way I like to think of it is, you should think of, when you're looking for a mentor, coach, whatever the fuck you want to call them, you should you should assess those people that you're considering in the same way that you would assess a solicitor or an accountant. Someone who's got the skills, got the experience, and has actually trodden the path. Ultimately, they're a teacher. They're supposed to be leading you somewhere that you want to go, and they've got to have been there or walked that path themselves. Same with you in raw business coaching. You can legitimately advise other people on business. You're an award-winning entrepreneur. You've got multiple businesses. You've been there, done it, got the t-shirt with all the blood stains and the bruises and everything else.
Totally. And I think that's the very important thing, because like you say, it is a saturated market. But that gives you now the opportunity to go, well, actually, I need a business coach because I want to improve, and then you need to pick an element that you want to improve on. And then you can go and pick that business coach who has walked that path. And that's going to help you grow. Because if you don't pick the right one, you ain't going to get to where you want to be. You ain't going to hit your goals by picking a business coach that specializes in sales, but your actually issues are in HR or whatever they may be. So I think, that's a very key point to look for when you're picking a coach. But I mean, the first one is to make sure you like them first, because you may think it's a bit of a knob. Do you know what I mean? And then you're never going to take any of his advice seriously, and that's never gonna work well. So you need to A, make sure you like them, and then B, make sure that they've been down that experience and got that path. I mean, there's a lot of different certifications you can get as well. Would I be that bothered about certifications? No. I like to know what you think about certifications for coaches, because I've not got anything, but I see myself more as like a mentor. Cate's got a master coach certificate. Has she ever been asked for it? No. So I don't really know if they actually mean a terrible amount anyway when it comes to business coaching.
Well, I have got thoughts on this, and I think not all coaching qualifications and certificates were created equal. I think there's a big difference in what kind of work you're going to get, whether you are qualified as a coach or not. But again, coaching and mentoring is very different. I definitely see myself as more of a mentor and consultant than a coach. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't do coaching elements. There's a lot of coaching involved in what I do, 100%. But as a mentor, I am guiding people. I'm saying, well, look, this is where you want to go with your business. I've been there and done that, and this is how I did it. And that doesn't mean that my way, the path that I took, is going to work for everybody. But you've got to be flexible and be able to bend to individual businesses and circumstances as well. But it's a case of like, I've done this, and if you want me to show you how, rather than making all the mistakes yourself, then let's work together. Let's have a conversation and see what we can do. But then a lot of what I do is consultancy as well, where I'll sit down with business owners and work with them on doing it. So we do the mentoring. It's like, this is how you do it. And then we'll sit down and we'll do it together in some respects as well. But I think if you're going to be working with more bigger corporate clients, so my clients typically are from kind of 100,000, even startups, a startup right up to a few million, so 2, 3, 4 million. Yeah. If I wanted to work with higher level executives in bigger businesses, kind of north of 10 million, I'm just not going to get that work unless I've got a credible coaching, mentoring qualification. Something like the International Coaching Federation, for example, which is internationally recognized and one of the few bodies that is. So I think it's important, but I don't, and it's not to say I wouldn't do some lesser known, smaller, easier, cheaper courses to add to my skill set, because I think that's a really great thing to do. But I think I've spent a lot of money on coaches and mentors over the years, and I think actually my focus now would be more towards I would rather go and do a course on more advanced accounting skills or executive business management and kind of focus on those more core business skills rather than a coaching course, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. No, I think I think I think you're right there. If you want the bigger clients, then maybe you need to go down that whole coaching certificate and go from there. But I think everyone's got a story, and everyone can help mentor someone. And there's people out there that do it for free, and just do it for the love of it. And there's people out there that charge thousands, and it's each to their own, I believe.
Well, I think what I like about you guys is that it's not your core business. You're already very successful in your own right as business owners, and you've got Rhino Safety, and that's not coaching, it's health and safety. And you're doing raw business coaching. Yes, you're charging money for it, but you're doing it because you want to build a business around giving back and the things that you've learned over the years. But I agree, one of the best mentors I've ever had and still have to this day, I've never paid him a penny. I buy him lunch every now and then, and he eats in some expensive places. But he's got a 20-30 million pound business. He doesn't, and man, the stories he could tell you, the things he's done in business and been through, what he doesn't know about business almost isn't worth knowing. So it's great to be able to meet up with him once every 6 months and grab lunch and chew the cud for 4 or 5 hours over business and life and everything else. And I always learn stuff, and it's nice to hear the stories, if nothing else. But I definitely recommend that if you're in business, you go and find people like that. And I'm sure you've got people who are the same and you look up to, you can just go and grab a coffee with every now and then and shoot the shit with. But that equally, there is definitely a place, the clients I've worked with, I definitely have seen phenomenal results in working with them, and they've taken their businesses to all kinds of new heights as a result of the work we've done together. But equally, I think you're right in that you do, you get what you need from somebody, and then you kind of outgrow. Like you've got the skills from them that you needed to get, and then it's done. I don't agree with the whole perpetual coaching model whereby you should be trying to sign a client up for 12 months and then renew them every year. And like if they need you for 3, 4, 5 years on the trot, then I'd question how much value you're actually giving them.
Yeah, I think you do get to a point where you outgrow them. And unless there's like another specific project you want to bring them in for, then I do think you gain all the knowledge that they're teaching, and then you run with that, and then you may get to a point where you're stuck on something else, and then you engage them again. But keeping that like 3 or 4 or 5 year rolling, I don't see how that would benefit you as a business owner. It'll benefit the coach because they've got loads of money coming in.
But equally, on the flip side to that, you look at masterminds, and I think if a mastermind's run properly, and maybe even one-to-one coaching to a certain extent, you kind of almost treat it like having another board member, like a non-executive director in the business, without having to give away any shares or directly employ anybody, but just kind of paying this retainer. And you have them show up once a month or every now and then when you need them, and they sit in on the meetings and help guide strategy and give their input and influence on certain key decisions. Yeah. Then there's definitely value in that. And in terms of a mastermind setup, then I think, that's almost like having, particularly for solo business owners who don't have partners in their business, to go and be able to sit in a room with other business owners can be super refreshing, because your employees, with the best will in the world, lovely people, but they just don't get it. If they've never run a business, they just don't get it.
No, totally. And, we always go over like the biggest wins that our raw members have had, and, some of the things that they've achieved off the back of even just within like 1 month. We had feedback from one of them saying, "Oh, we've changed his life. We've helped him out with some personal issues and this massive issue that he thought he had. It was actually not that big anyway. And we were able to overcome that. And it's just having that support network around you and those people that can help you through the really, difficult times, because, there must be so many business owners right now, because of the pandemic, that are really struggling. And just to have those people around you to go, actually, how do I open a business? How do we open now? What do I do? How do I furlough my staff? Do I not furlough my staff? So having those people around you just to go, well, we've done it this way, or we've done it this way. You might not have, you don't have to follow their advice, but getting that feedback from people just to go and see what they've done, and then did it work? If they did it that way, did it work? Did it not work? It's really, really beneficial. And like I said before, it isn't a networking event. We don't pass business round. However, a lot of the members have passed business because you work with who you like. So at the end of the meeting, they'll go, "Oh, I need to have a chat to you because I've got a problem over here." And because they've been working together for 12 months, they know each other now. So they do pass work. But it's not there to pass work. It's there to solve problems for business owners, because problems, crop up all the time. Staffing issues, the amount of times we speak about people that have got problems with their employees and things like that. Client complaints, losing clients, what should they do? Things like that. And it's just so beneficial. And we got so much out of it. That's why we wanted to set up our own, to be able to give back and help other people.
And it's really interesting. I don't know if you found the same, but over the years of working with tons and tons of different business owners, never mind my extensive experience in business for my own businesses, seeing such a wide cross-section of different people and situations and different businesses in different sectors, it's a huge learning curve as well. You learn so much from being involved with so many different businesses like that.
Yeah, we take so much from it and incorporate that into our businesses here. It's so beneficial for us, just to hear the others chatting about the problems that they've got, that they've come up with, and things like that. It's massively beneficial, and then we use those tips, tricks, whatever you want to call them, to then grow our businesses here. So yeah, it's massively beneficial.
And it's all of those little things, isn't it? There's not one kind of big silver bullet that's going to make you a success in business. It's stacking all these little things. Oh, hear that tip from that person, or that one's tried that and that worked, and then you stack all these on top of one another, and that sustained and consistently done over time is what generates those results. What do you think about the pricing model in coaching and masterminds and one-to-one? What's a reasonable amount of money to charge for either a mastermind or a coaching package, and why do you think that?
What's a reasonable amount? I think it depends on what you're going to get out of the mastermind. There's masterminds that run in the Cayman Islands every year and stuff, and they're like 10 grand, and you go on yachts and all that kind of thing, right down to just having a coach who's a couple £100 a month. And I just think it depends on where you're at and what business you are running and what you want to get out of it, depending on what you think's fair and what price you're going to pay for it. We're not the cheapest. We set up Rhino Safety and deliberately set our price point to be not the cheapest. This is the same with Raw Business Coaching. We're not the cheapest, but you get good quality feedback, good quality mastermind group in a really nice setting, in a nice location. So, I don't think there's one price point that you can say this is right and that's wrong. I just think it depends on what you're after and what you want to get out of it.
I can't allow you to sidestep that question in the way you so eloquently have.
I mean, we charge £300 a month for our mastermind group. So that's a 12-month contract. Now, we set it up that way because Rhino Safety charges on a monthly basis, and having that reoccurring revenue coming in is massive, because we don't have to worry 1 month to the next where our next amount of money is coming from. So when we went into lockdown on the 23rd of March, we knew that come the 1st of April, we were going to get a big chunk of money dropping into our bank account. Whereas if you were charging if you turn up to our mastermind next week and then I will charge you for that, you would not have got that because everything's been locked down for however long. So any coaches out there, I would certainly recommend having a monthly recurring system out there, or a pay up front. So we give our clients the option to just pay up front. That is better for you as the coach to structure it in that way, because then you've got the money. So either that, or they pay you on a monthly basis and do it that way.
So do you think it depends on where you are at personally in terms of the level of your business? Yeah,
totally. If you're a startup, you couldn't afford, you wouldn't be able to afford, £10,000 to go to the Cayman Islands for a round table with billionaires.
Well, that's like a VIP fucking business, all expenses paid holiday, isn't it? Yeah, you're doing business stuff, but going on yachts. It's more of a retreat, isn't it? It's kind of like a business themed holiday than it is traditional mentoring and coaching.
Totally. But I think as a startup business owner, I think there's different levels with coaching, isn't there? You when we first had when we took our first coach on, what he was I can't remember exactly what he was charging us, but he was charging us less than the monthly fee for the mastermind we joined. They were charging us less than the fee that you charged us. And I think it just kind of builds up that, because at each level you want to grow, so you're asking for more, so at the end stage, when we were using you were seeing us every month, you spending the day with us, you were doing tons of work, and obviously that was reflective in the price. So I just think you need to be aware of what do you want out of your coach. If you want them to be another employee and in your office every week, then you're obviously going to have to pay them more than if you're only going to meet them once a month or once every 3 months. A lot of coaches do 3-month packages, and I don't understand that. I don't see why only 3 months. If you're good, then surely at least 6 months or 12 months you should be going for. I don't know.
Well, let's talk about packages and contracts. You mentioned that your mastermind is a 12-month contract.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question. If you had somebody who 4 or 5 months in came to you and said, look, this isn't working for me. I don't feel I'm getting out of it what I was hoping I was going to get out of it. Whether that's a reflection on you or them is kind of irrelevant. Would you hold them to that contract?
No.
Why?
And we have done that as well. Because it's very negative to, if it's not working out, it's not working out. What's the point in holding them to it, making them come to your event and they don't want to be there? We don't see the point in that. Having the contract in place means that we have control and we can say yes or no to that request. We have agreed to terminate contracts because it's not worked. Because I just don't think, if someone doesn't want to be in the room, why have them in the room? You want to create you want to create these business owners that are feeding off each other. And if you're forcing someone in there that's, 3 months into a 12-month contract, and you're making them sit the rest of the months in there, and they're just sitting there because they've already paid for it and not going to engage, why have them in there? So no, we've terminated contracts. I think only one in the past, but that's the way we work with Raw and with Rhino. With Rhino, we have 1, 2, or 3 year contracts. If someone came to us and said, look, we don't like what you're doing, we want to cancel, then we would. We've never had anyone do that. However, we have had people come to us and go, look, we've hit on tough times. Can we cancel? We can't afford you anymore. And we've gone, yeah, fine. But when if stuff picks up for you, please bear us in mind. And that's a massive contrast to some of the national competition that we come up against, because they're pushing 7-year contracts. You sign into that contract, you are not getting out of that, regardless. You've got to write them a letter on the first full moon 6 months before the end of the contract, in the blood of your firstborn child, and by pigeon to their office for you to be able to get out of the contract. So we specifically didn't want to be that kind of business. We wanted to make sure that, if someone's got a problem, let's have a chat. What's up? Is it our service level? What's the issue? And work around that. So that kind of then rolled into raw. So we never want to hold someone to it if it's not going to work out for them. Yeah, so, I do believe in contracts, but I believe it should be on a case by case basis. And if it's not working, it's not working. Both parties should just walk away.
Yeah, contracts have their place. Like when I had the construction business, there's no way I would do projects without a contract, because it's like, well, look, we're committing a hell of a lot of time and resources and manpower and scheduling, especially in construction. You've got to manage your schedule like a fucking demon, because one job has got to lead seamlessly onto the next, although it rarely works out that way. But if we're doing a construction project, there's got to be a contract in place that outlines all the particulars, the contract duration, the sum, the extra fees, and what's excluded, what's included. It's super, super important. Where I move away from that is with my coaching, in that, I see a lot of other coaches and masterminds have these 12-month contracts, and I just think, well, there's no material outlay, there's no manpower outlay apart from the time that I'm giving you for the consulting work. And at the end of the day, if you're getting value out of working with me, then I shouldn't need to hold you to ransom to that with a contract. And I wouldn't want, similar to yourself, if somebody came to me, if I had them in a contract and they came to me and said, look, this isn't working for, you're a dick, you're coaching shit, or like we're too busy to get on and do this stuff, I'd be like, do you know what? Yeah, sound, no worries. Like let's just call it a day there, because I don't want to work with people who are unhappy. I don't want to work with people who aren't getting results, whether that's down to me or down to them. And I think there needs to be more responsibility taken by coaches and mentors in the space, that regardless of the reason, if their clients are not getting results, I think actually the onus should be on them to look at that contract, look at that particular client and say, well, do you know what? I'm tracking the numbers here, and we don't appear to be going anywhere. So I feel like I'm taking your money for no good goddamn reason. Maybe we should either change something, or maybe you'd be better off working with somebody else.
Yeah, but most coaches aren't going to do that, though, are they?
Well, but I think that's a big problem with the industry, though. There's a big focus on sales, because a lot of coaches struggle. They struggle to get enough revenue to live off. Might undercharge or be trying to charge too much, and I think there's people out there who are charging far too much based on the lack of results that are actually being delivered. I think accountability is a big part of this, and I've been part of things myself and masterminds where you're in a room of, firstly, what I would say is that a mastermind of 50 people is not a fucking mastermind. That's like a group gathering, like an event. A mastermind for me is like maximum 10, 12 people, because I don't see how you can effectively run a mastermind any bigger than that. But also, you asked to write down, right, what are your top 3 actions for the next month, guys? Like, write them down in your books or whatever. And then it's like you write them down and they disappear into thin air, and they never get mentioned again. Yeah, that doesn't work. What's the point? Like, you write fucking anything down in that situation, and that no one's ever going to check, no one's going to hold you accountable, no one's looking at the numbers. So actually, no one's got any fucking idea whether you're getting any value for money or not. And I think as a coach, mentor, trainer, it's your responsibility to make sure that what you're doing is effective.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. I think it goes back to the whole business ethics point of view, and you've got some people in business now that aren't very ethical, that want to just make the money, and they're going to stick you on a contract for 7 years, and you ain't getting out of that contract at all. I don't care what you say, you ain't getting out of it. If you can't afford it, just go and whack it on a credit card. I don't care. And you do get that mentality in all lines of business, not necessarily just coaching. So yeah, I do think everyone needs to be careful. One of the reasons why we went down the contract route, certainly for Rhino, is it gives value to the business. We're growing a business. It's got value. We could sell it if we ever wanted to. And I think that's rolled over into Raw. So if we've got those contracts in place, you got potential value there for your business. But with no contracts, you've got nothing, have you? Mm. So that was one of the main reasons we went down that route. But yeah, I think, a mastermind, we always said one of the things we took away from our mastermind in Birmingham when we were setting up our raw one was we would cap it at 10 to 12 people. And if any more wanted to join, we'd set up another day, because we were in a mastermind that was, I think, 30 or 40 people, and it was just pointless in being there. And you'd have people ask the same questions every single time, and they'd be answered the same way. So we were just never learning anything new, which was just pointless. So I think
you might do in the first few sessions, the first few months, all the questions are fresh and new to you because you're new to it. But then over time, it's just more of the same stuff again and again and again.
Yeah, totally. So I think, you need to be, as a business owner, you need to be very aware that, there are people out there that are trying to take your money, and you need to be very aware that, and is it providing a return on investment? I think that's what you need to put it back to. Is it helping you reach your goals, or is it giving you any return on investment? If either of them are a no, then you just need to stop. And that's with the whole mastermind thing, that's with the whole networking things, anything in general. You need to keep reviewing it. Is it giving you a return on investment? Is it helping you to reach your goal? And if not, it needs to be cancelled.
And I think a great question to ask any coach, mentor, mastermind that you're thinking of working with is like, show me, where did your client start and where did they finish when they stopped? Where were they after 6 months? Where were they after 12 months? What were the actual numbers? What results have they got? What's your track record?
Yeah, well, this should just work with you, shouldn't it, Jamie?
Absolutely, mate.
You know what I mean? If anyone needs a testimonial for Jamie, just give us a shout, because I can't remember the exact figures, but you helped us grow from, we had a 400 square foot office down in a crappy building down the road, and now we're here now, and we're touching on 8 or touching on 9 staff. So we would not have been where we are without the coaches and mastermind groups that we've used and utilized. And if you are in a, not necessarily a business owner, just anyone in business or in life that wants to grow, it wants to improve, you need to start reaching out to people that have been there and done it, that have, like you said then, Jamie, that have got a track record that can show, yes, this person worked with me, they started at point A and they finished with me at point B. And if you want to speak to them, here's the number, there's a testimonial from them and things like that. I think that's key when picking a coach, that you go down that route and you ask those questions.
100%. Couldn't agree more, mate. Listen, Simon, it's been an absolute pleasure. We've just tipped the 2-hour mark on what's been a fantastic podcast. So
how long was Cate's? Have we beat Cate's?
Oh, I'm going to have to, in fact, I'll tell you, I've got it in front of me here. Oh, you've smashed it. You smashed it, Simon. 1 hour and 31 minutes.
Wow.
31 minutes more.
Well, just wait until I get home. No, cool. No, it's been a pleasure, mate. And I think it's a tough time for everyone in business at the moment. But, there's stuff's going to keep, business is going to keep rolling on. The whole world's not going to stop. We're not going to come to an end. And I just think if you're struggling, if you're stuck, reach out and get help from people. And if you've never spoke to Jamie before, just give him a shout.
Thank you, mate. And where can people find out more about what you're doing if people are in need of health and safety services, or indeed are interested in joining a mastermind? Where can they find out more about those?
Yeah, we're on rhinosafety.co.uk or rawbusinesscoaching.co.uk. I'm not difficult to find on the social medias as well.
Just look for the hairy bloke.
Just look for the hairy bloke. Yeah, just give us a Google. I'm sure we'll pop up. I'm sure, and it'll be if you like any of our stuff, please like and comment.
Simon, you're awesome, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much.
Cheers, Jamie.
And that's a wrap for this week, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for listening, and please do remember to go and subscribe and leave us a review if you haven't done so already. Next episode is with a chap called Gerard Williamson. He's coming on to talk about his backstory involving trauma, prison dependencies, mental health, healing, redemption, and growth. He's the founder of Caveman Coaching, so I'm looking forward to welcoming him onto the show next week. So do check back for that. And of course, if you subscribe, you'll get these episodes beamed directly into your phone or laptop of choice. If you're a business owner, do go and check out my Bulletproof app. And if you're in the process of starting a business or thinking about starting a business, then you can get access to my new free How to Start a Business training course right now. All you need to do is download the app for free, go to training, free training, and you can access all 16 videos across 3 modules and all 11 business planning and setup templates that I put in there for you, all in the app, completely for free. So why not? You've got nothing to lose, and I assure you it is a great resource. I had somebody give me some great feedback just after it was launched, said he's only got as far as video 4, and already the course, he's already got an established business, but already the course had helped him to get way better results on his Facebook ads. So go and check it out. It's a great course, and I'm really pleased to be able to bring it to you guys. A quick shout out as well to our sponsors. Thank you very much to I Am Truth for sponsoring the podcast. I Am Truth is one of the only CBD and hemp-based sports recovery companies in the UK. Their passion is to deliver premium products and a premium service to athletes and fitness enthusiasts alike. If that's you, use discount code Keeling10 to get 10% off everything you order. Train, recover, repeat. That discount code and a link to the website is in the show notes, so go and check that out. Go and check Simon out as well. Go and connect with him on LinkedIn and Facebook. And if you're interested in joining his mastermind, you can find them at Raw Business Coaching. Again, links are in the show notes. And hey, if you need some health and safety advice from one of the best in the business, then go and check out Rhino Safety. And if you want more backstory on where Rhino Safety came from and the whole situation involving Cate and Simon and why they chose to leave Cate's family's business, then go and check out episode 70 of this podcast, where you can hear Cate go into much more depth around what happened there and what motivated that decision. It's one hell of a story, and she was extremely candid on that interview, which was it's just made for an amazing interview. So that is it from me for today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. Stay awesome, stay positive, and stay optimized.